I think it is a fallacy to believe that, those who experience the prosperity of God, they never experience trial, that they don't have to wait, that everything goes their way. Like a prosperous life is not just one of uninterrupted pleasures. And I think that is kind of one of those things I would really want, those who are trying to really wrestle with this idea to be able to digest and understand. And so I think that, man, there's some who are living a prosperous life, but you may be in a difficult season.
Right.
And you're kind of maybe defining the terms incorrectly, where it's just like Job still went through seasons. Joseph still had, really difficult and tense seasons of life. And so I just think those are some of the things that's one of the things. It's like you still go through life seasons. You still have to wait. You still have to depend on God. And you still have to endure trials. And I just think, you can be living a prosperous life, and all those things are part of the ingredients that God allows.
That's good.
Yeah.
Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Debleaire Snell.
Boom!
And then for the old heads out there, I'm going to add shakalaka.
Shakalaka.
That's something
Oh,
that you don't
we're
know
going
about.
way back.
yeah.
Listen,
Boom, shakalaka.
you almost lost me on that one. I know what it is, but
Oh, man, he reached in the time machine for that one.
he did. He went back. He went
Boom,
back.
shakalaka.
The privilege of being an old head.
Come
That's
on,
it,
I
man.
can pull
We got
back.
you.
I can
Yeah,
pull
come
back
on,
and
Unc.
say
Come on, Unc.
that. Yeah, that's
I
right.
got you.
There it is. There it is. That's what I hear all the time.
Hey, but
Unc.
I hear it too, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the gray.
I
think
feel like,
that's
yeah,
it.
it's coming in
It's
a
the
little
gray.
bit.
That's it, yeah.
You
The
don't
ball.
have any gray.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Are you hearing Unc yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you here?
Yeah, the kids
Oh,
on
guaranteed.
campus. Oh, yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's men of a certain age, man.
It's the respectful way
Yeah.
to say you're getting old.
yeah.
But we'll still share space with you.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll take
You're still
right.
okay.
I'll take
So
it.
you'll be all right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
yeah.
You're
I'll
old,
take it.
but respect.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
old,
There
but
you go.
respect.
So here we are, three old heads.
Yeah,
Welcome
we
to
go.
Breathe. Glad to be with you.
Welcome.
Three unks.
Yep, 3 ounces.
Three unks and three microphones.
Three
Here.
microphones.
One camera. Glad to be with you.
We're good. We're glad
for
to be
the
here,
Breathe-
man.
That's right. For
Yeah.
the Breathe podcast. And we're going into a new series now.
Yeah.
You know, we love series. You know that. So,
Yeah.
so get ready for this one. The Prosperity Kit. The
Yeah.
Prosperity Kit.
The prosperity
So
kit.
this is going to be a series of podcasts about prosperity, and we're coming at it from all angles.
Yeah.
In
prosperity,
fact,
man.
We're going to start with a definition,
Yeah.
you know, so that we don't
Prosperity
make any
defined.
assumptions.
Yeah.
That's
We
right.
want to define it. We got to
That's
define
right.
it. Yeah,
Gotta define
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know, so there, I think everybody would assume, I think when you say prosperity, you're talking about monetary wealth.
Sure. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
is that what we're talking about, or are we talking about something else?
Not exclusively.
Okay.
And I think that's probably one of the flawed perceptions or outgrowths of the prosperity gospel. Like there's that line of preaching that essentially teaches, well, that's not the overt expression of it, but the underlying kind of premise is that, kind of serving God is a means to another end, which is financial wealth and abundance and overflow.
Mercy.
But I think that, that's kind of a very flawed and myopic kind of look at what prosperity is. But I think, man, honestly, when we talk about prosperity, I just think it's so many things, and that's why I think this conversation is critical. So I don't know if you've ever hit a golf ball. And, there's probably a certain distance it would travel just based upon your strength and the velocity of your swing.
Right.
But every now and then, a strong gust of wind will get behind the ball and really push it further than really what your strength or your capacity was able to push it. And I think in some ways, that's kind of really a good way to see definition. It's God's push. It's essentially, all right, my strength can only get it this far. But man, when the wind of God or the hand of God or the touch of God or the kiss of God gets behind what you're doing,
Right.
it pushes it much further than human effort is actually able to take it. And so I think that goes across the board.
Yeah.
So like even your good health practices naturally can only take you this far.
Yeah.
But when God prospers you, it takes your health even further. Even your work ethic, great work ethic, can take you this far. But man, when God just kisses it and touches it, he takes it further than your human effort is able to take it. Now, you still need to do these.
Absolutely.
You got to have works, you know what I'm saying? Or even just your good husbanding or parenting or wifing can kind of get you this far. But man, when God just prospers you, it takes you much further.
Right.
And so I just think it's God's, kiss to the things in our lives. And, let me just say this, because I think that's the outward kind of evidence of prosperity.
Right.
But, I do believe that prosperity is kind of the incidental byproduct of being in union with God.
There it is.
And honestly, I think prosperity begins, and it's funny, it's one of those things that I think we rarely talk about in church. It is just being completely at peace and secure in oneself. I think that's really where it begins, because even if you have all the outward things, but inwardly, I'm not at peace.
Yeah.
I'm not secure with myself.
Yeah.
Right.
There is unrest and chaos. So I just think, man, inwardly it begins with just, man, complete peace and security with oneself, and outwardly, man, it's just God's push extending your effort in a way that just humanity alone can't get it.
Yeah.
So when I hear that, think about that, it makes me conclude that it is possible to be prosperous without anybody seeing the outward evidence.
Oh, yeah.
Just as it is possible to be completely bereft of prosperity.
Yep.
But people are assuming
You have it. Yeah.
No, that's great. I love that you said that, because what came to mind as you were talking was, when Samuel goes to anoint David.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, oh, surely, as Jesse's presenting the sons, he's like, surely it's one of these.
Yeah.
That's right.
And God has to be like, Doc, you're looking at the outward.
Yeah.
And that this is none of them.
Yeah.
None of them. And then David comes up, and I just imagine Samuel's like, this one? But that's who God had chosen. And so, just like you said, sometimes prosperity will have a look to it.
Yeah.
But other times it will completely not have that look. But that person is completely, as you said, grounded in themselves and in the God they serve.
Yeah.
They are in purpose, on purpose.
Yep.
And they're walking in fulfillment.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily have a bank account number attached to it.
Yeah.
Or a particular car or dress or swag.
Right.
That doesn't have an outward appearance. But but if you spend time with that person, it'll come across.
Yeah.
You're content. You're completely focused. You're in alignment. You're walking in purpose. When you spend time with that person, you will see it. But externally, just a superficial look at that person, it may not come up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, to a certain extent, one of the flaws with kind of that, again, extreme prosperity gospel component. Because it's funny, because I hate to even use the term prosperity gospel, because I believe the gospel causes your life to prosper.
I totally agree.
So we're talking about it in a certain context. But by certain metrics, so even if I look at, so when you're talking about the outward view of it, I think about 3 characters of Scripture. The Bible talks about how Joseph was prosperous. While he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian.
Right.
Where if you just look at it from the outside, I think inside people were able to see, there's something on him. But his overall station in life.
Exactly.
Like he is a houseboy.
Yeah.
Like he's a servant.
He's a servant. Right.
I think about Job. Job was a prosperous man, but he still endured a difficult season. Yeah. Or even by the prosperity gospel metrics, Jesus wasn't prosperous.
Not at all.
Not at all.
he wasn't prosperous.
Not at all.
Like, it's funny because people would come and be like, I want to be your disciple. I want to rock with you, Jesus. He'd be like, well, foxes have holes. Birds have nests. And the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. And it's not that Jesus was homeless or a vagabond, but he lived, man, it's funny because he lived, you remember he talked about, taught his disciples to pray, give us this day our daily bread. He lived a life of daily dependence on the Father, where there was just such security in the fact that God's provision was going to be there. He didn't store a bank account. He didn't have barns full of wheat. You know what I'm saying?
Mercy.
So on and so forth. So, but he was fully at peace with himself.
Mercy.
He was never in a hurry, in a rush. He was not ever pulled to and fro because he moved, as you said, on purpose and on time. So I just think we have to just be very, very mindful. And I do think that there are outward symbols of prosperity at times where, man, you can look and see it, but you cannot use empirical data as the metric all the time, or else you'll get it wrong about other people and you'll get it wrong about yourself.
I want to bring up something here. I hope it doesn't derail us, but we just had a phenomenal experience with the Vision and Dreamers Conference, and we closed out with Wintley Phipps, and he talked about kind of this a major component to being successful was not being a miser.
That's right.
And that thing hit so hard, and I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm like, man, do we consider benevolence as a component or a metric for prosperity?
Oh man, I hope so, and I think we're going to talk about that, specifically in one of these podcasts.
Okay,
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I think a couple of weeks we'll talk about having an outward focus.
Okay.
And we'll kind of dive right into that specifically.
Okay.
But I think when he talked about having a miser mentality. And I think that's something that even as the people of God, we should avoid.
Right.
Because it's what we do is we just take everything to an extreme. So, Jesus kind of says, hey, makes it clear, the love of money is kind of the root of all evil.
Yeah. Right.
So you know what we do? We make money evil. You know what I'm saying? Instead of addressing the undergirding principle where we don't live according to the world's values of materialism and excess and titles and stature, of that sort. And we just take it to another extreme that essentially says kind of the poorer you are, the more spiritual you are.
Mercy.
That's humility. So I just think that what we got to do is kind of avoid the fringes of kind of theology, because it always distorts. It is a distortion of Scripture, and it's a distortion of God.
Of God, yeah. I love that. I love that.
We use the word miserly, or being a miser. For those of you that are under 30, we're saying basically, that's like saying somebody's cheap.
Cheap,
a miser, right? It's a cheap. What we
say,
cheap
or stingy.
Stingy.
I don't know. There's a component.
Maybe it's a little both. But stingy actually was the first word that I thought of. Stingy, cheap. Not willing to spend. Somebody who's gonna pinch. They're gonna pull, like $15 out of $1 if they can. They can. And that can be. That can be actually maybe counter to the idea of having faith in some context.
Oh, very much. Yeah, I just think it's kind of one of those things where, it's that mentality, get all you can and can all you get. It goes against just everything that I think is God and the gospel, not just faith. I think it's an anti-gospel mentality.
So now, what in addition to what we've already discussed, what are some of the things that we misunderstand about prosperity? Is there anything that we have not covered and that fits into that category?
So I think there are a few things I did want to kind of mention in terms of prosperity. I think so. Like you'll look at how the Bible talks about the story of Joseph, or who is prosperous, or I'm trying to think of somebody else, or Job, who is prosperous, or just different people who God prospered what they did, or even David. So I just think, number one, I think it is a fallacy to believe that those who experience the prosperity of God, they never experience trial, that they don't have to wait, that everything goes their way. Like a prosperous life is not just one of uninterrupted pleasures. And I think that is kind of one of those things I would really want, those who are trying to really wrestle with this idea to be able to digest and understand. And so I think that, man, there's some who are living a prosperous life, but you may be in a difficult season.
Right.
And you're kind of maybe defining the terms incorrectly, where it's just like Job still went through seasons. Joseph still had really difficult and tense seasons of life. And so I just think those are some of the things that's one of the things. It's like you still go through life seasons. You still have to wait. You still have to depend on God, and you still have to endure trials. And I just think, you can be living a prosperous life, and all those things are part of the ingredients that God allows.
That's good.
Yeah, I think you covered some of this in your sermon, The Vision and Dreamers Weekend. You talked about the trajectory of Joseph's life.
Yeah.
And he definitely had points where he was on the ascent.
Yeah.
And things were looking, he was, as we'd say today, he was balling.
He's balling, yeah.
And then there was some
living his best life, yeah.
Right, and there were some times when he was like, he was in, first, I guess the first time was when he was in the pit. Where, and as you pointed out, the pit actually was a blessing because the original plan was to kill him.
Yeah,
mercy.
Yeah.
So the pit actually was a blessing, even though it probably didn't feel like
it. So the definition of prosperity there, how does that fit?
Right.
Because he could be dead.
Right. So the pit was prosperity.
You're prospering
he was prospering
there.
relative to what could have happened.
Exactly. What was allowed. What was allowed.
Prosperity is kind of the prevailing purposes of God.
There you go.
In light of the intentions of the adversary and your enemies.
That's good.
So it's just like, man, it's the recognition
that,
man, it was supposed to be a whole lot worse.
Right.
Yeah.
But even this difficulty is a demonstration of God's mercy, protection, and grace. And that's a prosperity. That's why the old folk would say something like, man, Lord, I just thank you for protecting me from danger seen and unseen. Because there was a recognition that there is a warfare
happening
and dangers that, man, we cannot always see with our eyes.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's good.
Yeah, it's hard to, as Christians, I think, divorce God from the prosperity discussion.
Yeah.
So what we're really talking about is, is a collaborative effort. God does what God does.
Yeah.
As you said earlier, we do our very best.
Yeah.
And then we leave the rest to that divine collaboration to manifest itself.
Yeah. To reveal it and bring it all into being.
Yeah.
Correct.
So good. So good.
So we shouldn't be fretting. What I'm getting out of this is we should not be fretting if we don't have the material indicators of prosperity, or what the world considers. Now it's not that we're saying you can't have a nice home or a nice car or a nice strip, but if you don't have it, it doesn't mean that you're not prospering.
Correct. And I hope one of the takeaways is that I think divine prosperity is comprehensive. It is not compartmentalized. So that I don't think you're prospering if you just have money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you're prospering if you just have a great job. I don't think you're prospering if you're just spiritual. So, like, if I could, maybe paint a picture, and this is, man, we're aging ourselves across the board today. So you remember the old school ice trays?
Oh, yeah.
When you went to fill it up, you know what you had to do? At a certain point, you had to tilt it so that,
Come down.
One tray got filled, it would kind of overflow until it all kind of got filled.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's how God's favor operates. I don't think it just impacts one portion of the life. It doesn't just make me a spiritual man and everything else is in ruin. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I do think that, there are going to be times where so maybe that first block to get filled is my spiritual cup. But it should, over time, it's going to impact my family.
Yeah.
It's going to impact my health.
Yep.
It's going to impact my work.
Yep.
It's going to impact my finances. So that's the thing I hope we realize is that in God, you don't have to choose. You should just have to prioritize. Like, I'm going to seek first his kingdom.
Yeah.
And he says all these other things, Matthew 6, that we be worried about and tripping about and stressing about, all those other things are going to be added. And so so that's the one thing I hope people take away. So it's just, so as we kind of get away from maybe that extreme prosperity definition,
right.
I'm just not looking at the finances. But I do think it starts, man, with this inner cup overflowing. And I think it shows up in other areas.
Yeah.
Can I be real for a second? I mean, I agree 100% with what you just said.
Yeah.
But I do think that the messaging that we get from the church, generally speaking, I'm not saying every single church, or every single pastor. But I do think the messaging we get a lot of times is really just the opposite of what you said. I mean, we sort of we tend to celebrate, those who have achieved, based on positions, degrees, family legacy.
That's true.
Lord is blessing. Oh man, I see it. Lord is blessing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that.
There is a lot of that.
And it's not always coming from the pulpit. It's
No.
it's a part of the whole culture.
It's in the culture.
It's the pulpit and the pew.
No, that is kind of this. It is a cultural thing. Honestly, you're correct. And I don't know exactly how we got there. But that's why I just think we got to have the dialogue so that we can kind of shift the view and shift the perspective. And I just think that we do have to probably, reframe kind of what we communicate and be a little bit more conscious and aware, so as not to just identify these outward things as the symbol or source of God's blessing, nor deny them, either. But I just think that we have to just kind of, be discerning, I guess, in our commentary and in our speech, so as not to kind of corrupt or limit, I guess, our understanding of what it means to prosper.
Yeah, creating these stratas of achievement, and yet you want to celebrate achievement, like you said.
No, you do. You do.
So we've got to kind of do both.
But that's why I do think, as we achieve, that's why it is so critical for us to give thanks and praise, because there's a certain amount of achievement that is kind of, I don't want to say this, there's a certain amount of achievement you can have just as a hardworking, diligent person. And it's not that God is not strengthening you to do it, but you can do it without any acknowledgement of God in your life. But I think that's why it is really critical for the believing person who does achieve, that does prosper, and God is blessing the work of your hands, and He is abundant in provision. It is critical for that person to kind of say, this is the Lord's doing. And it is, so we don't have to surmise. Like, that person has to be liberal with thanksgiving and liberal with praise. And then we come to the conclusion, this high place or this degree or this provision, like, we don't have to guess where it came from because they're telling us where it came from. Right. They're saying, this is because the Lord is on my side. And so I just think, and if it overflows from, just a heart that burgeons with love for God, and just, the excess or the outflow of that is just, God is just showing up in all these areas of my life.
But I do think there is a component of what David is sharing and what you're saying as well that is acceptable and not acceptable. So if I share with people that I did get the promotion and I'm giving God all the credit, that is an acceptable one. One that isn't taboo, but we don't hear it is like, hey, I've gone 4 weeks without berating my kids.
Right.
I've gone 4 weeks with speaking life into my kids. Now we should be celebrating. But is it an acceptable? You see what I'm saying? Have we created an environment where we can share that kind of thing openly?
Doc, so now, because
that's prosperity.
And I think that really speaks to your issue. Because what you may be speaking to is like a social construct.
There it is.
Within the body of Christ that we don't really make room for. So when we talk about those inner spurts of growth, are those inner victories, or where you're seeing the Lord move in the inner world.
Right.
Is it okay for us to share that kind of testimony?
Is it okay?
Are we going to be looked upon?
Mercy. Now we're talking.
Because that's kind of like, you can just, literally, I have, can you testify, you know what? I've slept good for the first time in a month. This is my, the way in which God is blessing me. God is teaching me how to have patience with my spouse or with my kids.
On.
Like, it's funny because they're socially acceptable testimonies, and I guess there are some that we hadn't fully learned how to embrace in the current climate, and maybe that kind of speaks to what's wrong with us and the shift that we need to make.
Now, this opens up a whole new dynamic for me in terms of the conversation, because what I'm also hearing in the context of this discussion about prosperity is, if we're really going to prosper, then we need to be in a safe place.
A safe place.
Feel that we're in a safe place.
Yeah.
You know, so that we can.
Yeah. For somebody even be able to say, I hadn't smoked in 2 weeks.
I was going to use that example, but I wanted it to be, because any of these could work, but I wanted it to be one that was a little less, out there. Yeah. Because maybe that might not be something that somebody's struggling with. But just that one, like a good friend of mine said, man, wife and I have been struggling to really connect and have a regular date night. We had, 2 consecutive. And I was like, bro, praise God. Yeah. But it's just because we have that friendship.
Sure. Yeah.
Would he share that publicly and openly? I don't know. But I think the body would be bettered if we had that environment.
And you know what I do venture to say, and this is not, because I know what you're talking about, the safety. There are some church cultures that probably are not safe. But by and large, I do believe that, when we are able to kind of share not just financial victories or professional victories, but internal victories, I just think, man, the whole body would be edified. Our hearts would be tied together in a more intimate and real and authentic fashion.
Absolutely.
And I just think that, man, it will just create, man, a chain reaction of faith and belief and hope. Okay, man, you know what, man, what God is doing in them and the way God is prospering them, like God is either doing it for me or God can do the same for me. Yeah.
I'll tell you something as we move to our close. I'll tell you something that happened to me quite a few years ago at the Oakwood University Church before you got there.
Okay.
There was a young brother who I have not, I'll be honest, I haven't seen him in years. I don't know what's happened to this young man, who came up to me one time, and he was one of these people who you could tell probably had lived a good portion of his life in the streets.
Okay.
Yeah. But he came up to me for whatever reason. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
He came up to me. I have no clue. Came up to me and he said something like, we greeted each other, and he said, man, I haven't smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
And however many days he said it.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him and I thought, wow, this is his struggle.
Yeah.
He was open about it. And I said, well, you know what? Just one day at a time.
Yeah.
Just take it one day
at a time. Yeah.
And I thought to myself that it was beautiful that he could share that with somebody who could affirm it. Now, mind you, I've never smoked a day in my life.
Right.
I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
It's not your struggle, but
right. But I got some other stuff.
Right.
In my
Oh,
life
sure.
that I can relate to.
Yeah.
And if you so the idea that you have been able to abstain from something that you know is destroying you for some period of time, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, especially because you kind of got me on the church culture thing, because the things that we celebrate and testify to, those are the things that everybody then looks to pray for and achieve.
Right.
Like, so whatever is celebrated, that's what's recruited.
Right.
And I just think that if we can create the safe dynamic where people can kind of talk about how they're prospering in their inner world. Yeah. So, like, even if you talk about your brother who smokes, in his own strength, maybe can get to a day or two.
Yeah.
But man, with the wind of God, it pushes him to that week and pushes it into a permanent, victory where he is overcoming. It's funny because what you all don't know is we pray for the Lord to turn and steer our conversations.
Yeah.
And I think the Lord is really pushing us here, because I just think that when we learn how to just really be real and just not limit prosperity to just those things.
Yeah.
And we talk about how God is prospering us in our families and our lives and our spiritual growth and our maturation. I think it gives us a more complete picture of prosperity.
Absolutely.
And then that culture of just being doctor this and professor this and this title, that won't dominate our testimonies or our understanding of prosperity.
No, I was just going to say it, but the wind of God in that scenario, in that example you used with the brother who's struggling with smoking, the wind of God sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes comes in the form of human agency.
Human agency, sure.
So that may be him coming alongside and saying, man, one day at a time, and I'm going to pray with you. And I check in.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? You talked to me last week about so-and-so. How's it going with that? Here's what I'm struggling with. Can you pray with me on this?
Yeah.
It becomes a groundswell at that point. I mean, almost success and quote-unquote prosperity is the byproduct of that kind of environment.
I love that.
I love that.
I love that. Because this is where we live.
Yeah.
We live in here.
Yeah.
I mean, you live in a house, but who you really live in this inner world, your mind, your thoughts, your heart, your family.
Yes.
And if that ain't right, everything else becomes completely insignificant.
This is gold. This is gold.
Gold. It was gold, but not in the traditional sense.
Spiritual,
right?
Gold tried in the fire.
Right.
There we go.
We're not knocking gold in the traditional sense, but and this expansion of the concept of prosperity, I think was extremely powerful. I love the way you started us off by saying it really doesn't happen without God.
Without God.
The kiss of God, you call it, the wind of God. I think that was key. Yeah. And I hope that has expanded your thinking.
Absolutely.
Those of you watching and listening, your thinking on prosperity and what that means for you. And also we talked about the need for us to create a safe space for people really to cultivate prosperity in their lives. And, we ourselves need to find safe spaces in the church and in our families and, in order to cultivate that as well. So it's been a great conversation today, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
We are going to be talking in our next episode about prosperity and service. The outward focus.
Having an outward focus.
Having an outward focus about prosperity. So we hope you'll join us for that. Continue to give us your comments and reach out to us. We read those comments. We love to hear from you, and also make suggestions. We're open to those as well. God bless you as you move toward being prosperous and helping those in your lives to be prosperous. And you know what I'm going to say. It starts with stopping, praying, and breathing.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debleaire Snell, and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.